Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are back with more Stranger Things, this time on to episode number 3 of season 4. Last time we had, what do we have? We had Eddie fleeing the scene. When Eddie fled the scene, he was, freaked out beyond, you know, beyond description, beyond any accurate description, or just beyond justification or justifiable description of what happened with Chrissy and everything. Like we're literally watching Chrissy be murdered in his own trailer in such a horrific way actually sent him just many kind of miles away and everything to I think like the boathouse of Reefer Rick and everything. So he ran and he hid and he just kind of barely managed to contemplate exactly what he had seen or how to explain to anyone in like normal and understandable words and everything. But luckily there was a group of people just right for the situation to actually understand exactly what he had seen and what he was going through. So that group, of course, being Dustin and Max and Steve and Robin. Max, I think Max and Dustin met up first, and then they actually kind of contemplated like how with the murder being as kind of as gruesome and as freaky as it was, what if it had actually kind of been more to do with the exact same thing that they've been dealing with for like the past 3-4 years, as opposed to anything else. And then they had to actually meet up with Steve and Robin to use their computers and hunt down Reefer Rick and everything. So then they got involved. So now the gang is ever so partially back together. So we had that. We also had Nancy and Fred, the editor from the Hawkins Post and everything. The school, so I don't know why I keep calling the Hawkins Post, and the Hawkins of the school newsletter and everything. Actually, going to the scene of the crime and trying to be journalists and actually getting the story and everything. But then Fred was given somewhat of like an interesting backstory, and then that was used to get him killed. That was used to literally get him killed because then I think his backstory was then I think used to actually kind of establish the fact that Vecna does actually hunt in some kind of pattern. So yeah, now we have like an actual potential name and stuff and like a kind of like a like a power base sort of for the monster now. So the monster could be the Vecna, could be initiating Vecna's curse and everything onto people. So there's the Vecna. But Fred had a kind of somewhat similar past to Chrissy in the sense that he was actually involved in a car accident, but then he fled the scene and left the other passengers to actually die and never told anyone about what happened because he was too traumatized to speak on it or do anything about it. So then that gave him years of trauma too. So Chrissy and Fred both had kind of years of trauma that actually made them somewhat and somehow kind of potential kind of victims for Vecna to actually feed on and consume and everything, which he literally does. I think he actually snaps it, like he levitates them and snaps their bones and gouges their eyes out and leaves them just kind of mangled corpses and everything. So yeah, so now we have the Vecna. We had the Demogorgon, then we had the Mind Flayer, then we had the Mind Flayer again, and now we have the Vecna, who is arguably already turning out to be one of the most terrifying villains that Stranger Things has had. Like, it's seriously, 2 episodes in, I'm already scared out of my wits. I don't know what else they got in store, so I can tell this show is going to give me fucking chills to my bone marrow, so if that's even possible. So yeah, so we had them, we had Fred, and yeah, I think Fred died too. Fred died at the very end, and I think Fred was, I think, like his death was no less horrifying, but I think his death was used in like a mixture of ways to showcase like yet another victim the Vecna has claimed, but then also to kind of showcase the kind of true horror and the true power of the Vecna, and I think maybe even if the Vecna actually grows stronger with each kind of soul or person that it claims and consumes and everything, then they need to start hurrying up and saving more people because they can so that they can save people, but then also so that they can stop Vecna from going more powerful and everything. So yeah, I think and maybe just hope. I mean, these kids also have like their own collective traumas too. So I mean, it's only a matter of time, and we can we can only hope that the Vecna doesn't decide to pick on one of the kids either, because I think the kids, I think Will has trauma, I think if I'd say 11 has trauma, or Jane rather. I mean, I feel like this season is actually is more focused on calling her Jane now because that's who she is. So Jane has trauma, Max has trauma. The kids, I think individually, like from years of even like human stuff going on before the Upside Down, and even now with the Upside Down added into it too. I think they're almost think any of the kids could do it. So I think so far Vecna has actually picked on kids too. I think I don't know if like Vecna has actually kind of actually looked into any. I think I'm wondering if maybe because of that too, maybe it's like more of like a Pennywise thing too. Like maybe if it's like not only feeding off of trauma but also kids' trauma, because then kids, you know, likely. I mean, especially I think maybe even like especially if something traumatic happens in your childhood or in your youth, then that kind of like the earlier it happens, the longer it sticks with you. So then the maybe the harsher it manifests, or the easier it is to kind of feed off of. I think and similar to Pennywise too, like kids are scared of more things and kids are more easily traumatized. So then kids are like just like fish in a barrel when it comes to feeding that stuff. So maybe Vecna could also like Vecna's kind of concept and like kind of like method when it comes to hunting and killing could also be kind of linked, like inspired by Pennywise, maybe just a little bit. Stuff. Not to say that that kind of thing is exclusive to Pennywise, but I think that's where I kind of most commonly kind of like know it from, and know that kind of like story kind of method from and everything. So who knows? So yeah. So yeah, God, just hope none of the kids actually get like their traumas exposed and get latched onto by Vecna, because then they're gonna have a real fight on their hands, and we still have no idea how to stop them, how to actually stop any trances or possessions from happening and everything. So yeah, just wow. Okay, so yeah, there was that. There was that kind of stuff, and we had the stuff with the roller rink too, with Jane and Angela too. Angela being Angela picking on her, and then I think Mike actually came to visit too. Mike came to California to visit, and then spent most of the day just kind of actually kind of having the date night thing, the kind of date with her at the roller rink. But then Will was there too, just being a glorious third wheel as ever and everything. So they had like him and Mike had their own issues of non-interaction and like a fading friendship and all that kind of jazz. So God knows where they're going with that. And then Mike and Jane too, them spending time together, but then Angela just insisting on still just doing her thing and making Jane's life a misery and humiliating her at every possible turn. So then they pranked her with the videotape and the milkshake and everything, and then Jane decided she had enough. She had enough. She gave her plenty of chances. She reasoned with her. She tried to be diplomatic, and then in the end she was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna take a roller skate to this bitch's face." And then she did. She took a roller skate and bam, right above the nose, not even on the nose, not even a broken nostril, just like a cracked open kind of, like a bridge, or like a, I don't know if that counts as a bridge, but cracked open kind of, skull point and everything. So quite some damage. So I think I'm actually kind of especially more so because that didn't happen on school grounds. I've actually been thinking about that. I think the fact that that is like that lethal and that damaging of like an actual kind of assault and everything, and the fact that it didn't happen on school grounds, I'm pretty sure like they're gonna get like law enforcement involved, and knowing Angela, she may well definitely press charges and everything. So I don't know how seriously that's gonna go, and like how big of a subplot that's gonna have to be or whatever. But I don't know. So yeah, I don't think knowing Angela, she's gonna twist it onto Jane too and make her sound more kind of lethal than she actually is. So it's just gonna be a nightmare to deal with. So that kind of stuff happened. So there was that, and of course Will and Mike too, just kind of like Will just kind of feeling like his friendship with Mike is fading, and Mike's just not even trying anymore to keep in touch with him. And then Mike kind of switching that onto Will too, being like you should have tried harder to keep in touch and all that kind of stuff. So who knows where their stuff is going, and Will just again I don't know like exactly what they're gonna do with Will this time. Hopefully more than some neck touching and chills and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully actually giving him some stuff that treats him actually treating him like a person this season, actually giving him something to do and making him useful and everything. So yeah, because then he's more than an upside down radar. He's more than like an upside down or Demogorgon or Mind Flayer kind of radar or anything. So yeah, hopefully some stuff for Will. So that was cool. So there was that, and then we had Hopper too. We actually saw Hopper this time, and we also had as well as Mike coming to visit the kids. So we had Murray coming to visit Joyce after the letter thing that was revealed and everything. So the letter revealed that Hop was alive and that he was looking forward to the date to Enzo's and all that kind of stuff. And then we met kind of Russian Enzo, who actually delivered the letter and who actually worked as like a security guard inside the Kamchatka prison that Hopper had been sent to after interrogation. Interrogation had failed in the place he was at the first time. So Enzo actually kind of made a deal that they hand some money over to a fish place in Alaska. Then they can actually kind of have Hopper back and everything. So now they're going to go to Alaska, deliver some money, and then hope that Enzo delivers on his end of the deal. So yeah, and Enzo, yeah, I think he's literally the only notable thing right now is that he's played by the faceless man from Game of Thrones, so that's fun. But yeah, I think the original guards also pointed out that Kamchatka is actually kind of like more like hell, and that it's like death for Hopper would be a mercy. So Kamchatka was his punishment. So chances are that's where the Demogorgon is, and I'm pretty sure. I think I didn't really get the chance to actually go back and check that season 3 post credit scene. So I think for all we know, I think that could have been the same place that they showed in the post credit scene too, of the Demogorgon being there and them actually feeding people to the Demogorgon and everything. So. So yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun. So he's there. Murray and Joyce are on their way to to complete the ransom deal and everything. So that should be fun. And we also found out about Victor Creel too. Victor Creel, like an old, like an oldish kind of serial killer type dude. Well, not a serial killer. I think I think apparently, according to Uncle Wayne Munson, played by Joel Stoffer, aka Enoch from Agents of Shield. He went mad and killed his family and gouged their eyes out, and now he's in like a mental asylum, like Penhurst Asylum, I think he said. So he thinks that, the only person crazy enough and deranged enough to actually do this could have been Victor Creel, who again never died. He wasn't dead. He was alive and well in Penhurst Asylum, and this kind of thing fits his MO. So he figured that his nephew would never do something as harmful as this. So then Victor Creel is like an actual legitimate kind of madman and killer and everything. So he's the only one who would be lethal enough to actually do this and everything. So yeah, so I think Victor Creel, I think he might be the guy played by Robert Robert Englund. This maybe even doing some like body double stuff for the Vecna as well. Like, I mean, it would be cool if he was playing both, because then I think that would be kind of giving them like equal opportunity to kind of parallel the two characters, kind of the two beings off of each other too. Like the Vecna being the kind of upside down twist on who Victor Creel is. So I guess we'll find out. So yeah, that is pretty much all I got from the last one. So on to episode number 3, Stranger Things season 4. Let's go. Oh, starry night sky. That is the kind of sky I love. Yeah, no light pollution whatsoever. You can see the stars clear as day. Whoa! Aliens? We getting aliens? No, there's a helicopter, for fuck's sake. Oh, it's Dr. Owens! Oh, this is where he's living now. Oh, he lives in Nevada. Damn. I mean, look, can you blame me with all the crazy stuff we've had in this show? Aliens would not be the most impossible or unlikely thing. I legitimately thought we were getting aliens. Jesus. Would be an interesting twist. First a dark alternate universe, and now aliens. Surprise.
There are rumors she's alive and receiving help from someone on the inside.
Are you saying I'm helping her?
So he covered up her as well for her being dead? Because he did relocate them all to California, as well as Jane. So did they kill off 11 in Hawkins? Like she died along with Hopper? I love how he lives in the perfect place for a helicopter to randomly land. There's no roads, no obstruction. No need for like a special helipad miles away. He just has like an open patch of grass. The monster and the superhero. Ooh.
It happens more than you think, man. Boomers get attacks.
Man, hey, at least there wasn't an ice skate.
Oh, jeez. They're both high. They're both so high. Too high to actually be reassuring.
That's a funny word, man. Blip, 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 blip.
The civilians of the MCU would disagree. They would disagree.
Didn't the buyers move here?
Small world, isn't it? It's a small world.
Oh, so they're not telling them about Hopper. Yeah.
Can you pass me the olive oil? That's wine.
Turns out I have to go to tomorrow.
You're going to Alaska?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in Alaska?
The Britannicas are there.
So is he not high, or is he just used to it?
Super stressful day.
Stress, huh?
Yeah. Mary's familiar.
She didn't look fine.
Oh gosh.
Hell. What's going on, you guys?
Okay.
Well, hey, you both sides have information to share. Both sides have intel to share.
Risotto, everyone hates the risotto.
Absolutely not. No, it's incredible.
Finish risotto? He's smacking, dude.
Schmecking.
Still have no idea who he is.
Oh gosh. Oh god, it's gonna fit in so well. It's gonna fit in so nicely. Oh god, the upside down again. Oh yeah, we got these flying bastards now. Yeah, they can fly. Are these new things or are they mutated or something? Oh, he's jacked in. He's jacked in.
Preparing for the hunt.
The hunt?
And we just want to talk to him.
With a wrench.
To admit his crime. Yeah, a little friendly neighborhood chat.
With a wrench. I mean, how even Eddie has trauma.
Delivery service.
Oh boy.
Tarp.
How did they get here? How did they find Reefer Rick's place? Wait, are they coming here or are they driving past? They're driving past, right? Oh no, I think they're driving past. They're driving past, yeah. Oh yeah, because of Fred Benson.
It was by the picnic table, is that correct?
Yeah, friends are here. Friends who understand. Freaky stuff.
Does the picnic table ring a bell?
Yeah, and Steve. Yeah, the very supportive ex.
You've seen it. I've been bullied my entire life. I mean, I know what it's like.
You don't.
Oh.
Okay.
Everyone looks at me like I'm a monster.
Well, they just don't know you.
You think I'm a monster too. You were scared of me.
No, that's not true. I was surprised. I care for you so much.
But you don't love me anymore.
Oh, God.
Who said that I didn't?
Okay.
You never say it.
I say it.
From Mike. From Mike.
Oh, it's never
From
loved
Mike.
Mike.
From Mike. From.
Okay, 11, you're being ridiculous. What, like, they're nobodies. And you're a superhero.
She doesn't even have her pals anymore, dude. Are you trying to make her feel bad?
Not anymore.
Ewoks. Ah, Ewoks.
You may or may not be aware of an incident that happened last night.
Oh, she
involving
pressed
Jane
charges,
and
didn't she?
That was an
Angela?
accident.
We have a warrant here that says otherwise.
A warrant?
I'm not exactly an expert in parenting,
Oh,
but for what little it's worth, I think you did the right thing. This way, what? They play too much Nintendo, eat too much junk food, smoke some ganja, pound some beers, experiment sexually. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
I get rich, and you're a free man.
Oh, so this is just about the money family.
Sounds too good to be true, yes. When I talk to her, I can tell by voice that she's very pretty.
Enzo, watch it.
I like that.
Antonov. Okay, Antonov. Russian Enzo is Antonov. Great.
I don't know about you guys, but if I saw some freaky wizard monster, I would mention it to someone.
Who would believe you, though? Listen, you're in the 80s alone. Who would believe you? Especially with the D&D stigma going around.
You might go to your shrink.
The counselor. The guidance counselor. Great, time to visit her, see what stories she has. But can she release that information, though? Wouldn't there be some kind of confidentiality in place?
I don't think you want me driving your car.
Why?
I don't have a license.
Why don't you have a license?
I'm poor. I can drive.
No, never again.
Oh, Oh, Max. Oh, Max. Last time she...
Us ladies will stick together.
Yes! Robin and Nancy. Yes.
We need you to protect us.
Yes, give me that duo, Robin and Nancy. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Give me that duo any day of the week.
Always the goddamn babysitter.
You're a hell of a single mom. You're a hell of a single mom. Oh, yeah, he is. He's literally hunting. He is literally hunting for people with traumas, teens with traumas. Oh, no.
Your nose is bleeding.
Oh, him, that boy from in the part of the group.
They try to recruit me to their
Oh,
club, cult. Lucas, what the hell? We're just trying to find Eddie, man.
Well, you have eyes, don't you? He's not here.
oh gosh.
Where is he? I don't know. Where is he? I don't know.
Oh,
Dustin Henderson. What? Dustin Henderson.
Dustin?
He was calling around looking for Eddie. Maybe he found him.
Okay, well, Dustin and Max are with Steve. Please tell me Steve can handle this Prince Charming looking douchebag. Tell me, Steve. He fought a Russian and won. I'm pretty sure he can handle him.
You know the girl you hit? She got a grade 2 concussion. Did you know that?
Oh, how are the grades? Like, grade 5?
Doesn't seem that.
No,
No, you didn't want to kill her, and no, you don't know.
I don't know.
You don't. Okay, look, she's not a psychopath, okay? She's not... Oh, is she gonna be in, like, jail? They can't send her to prison, can they? Like, this would just be, like, jail, right? Oh.
It means they're putting her in the system, after which point she'll be transferred to juvenile hall.
What? Juvie! Oh, sugar.
A detention hall.
They're sending her to juvie.
No,
Oh, wow. Oh, he's getting comfortable. Bun and cream and chicken and peas. And slop. And good old prison slop. Well, this isn't Hopper's first time in a Russian prison, is it? We'll see, if he hits you in the leg, you'll give him bread. And the soup. Oh, he broke the chain off. Okay, that's good. He broke. He's hitting the chain, right? Oh, he's hitting the chain and the boots. Okay.
Help me get this straight.
Okay, I think he would be in a lot more visible pain if he was sitting any higher. In a lot more visible pain. Yeah.
Could we get the keys to the basement archives?
Of course. Give me 1 sec.
Oh, the basement of the library. The basement. They really are going it with this, aren't they?
You don't know me very well. I don't really have a filter or a strong grasp of social cues.
Hey, me neither.
So if I say something that upsets you, just know that I know that it's a flaw. Believe me, my mother reminds me daily.
Ah.
Got it.
Okay, she's in.
I'm missing collarbones, not eyes. We're gonna talk. Steadfast refusal to date Robin. It's pretty much the only logical explanation.
That's not the only one. And as for Nance...
You're like bright red in the face right now.
No, I'm not. I don't want to talk about it. I'll punch you so hard in your face that your teeth will fall back out.
Oh. Too far.
That's too far.
Not cool. Sorry.
Not cool. Okay. Boundaries between friends. Yeah, banter boundaries.
It's just
very important to maintain.
I'm sorry, I really can't discuss this. You wouldn't want me talking to any other students about you, right?
Yeah, they
If I
yeah,
were
confidentiality.
and it would help catch the killer, then yeah.
That's also
I
a
most
fair
definitely
point.
would.
I think some real bad shit's about to go down.
What are you talking about? What bad shit?
Oh. Oh shit.
I was looking for clues. Clues?
Yeah, clues.
Freshman think he's Sherlock Holmes or something?
Isn't that what you're doing? That gets a high five, really? Sherlock Holmes gets a high five? Whoa, what's this? Guys in suits? Dr. Owen! Is Dr. Owen busting her out? Is Dr. Owen busting her out? Tell me Dr. Owen's busting her out. Tell me Dr. Owen is busting her out. Tell me guys in suits. Oh, 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 a woman in a suit. A woman in a suit. Oh, jeez. Oof, 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 oof.
Hey, kiddo.
I'm sure no one took any of that money peeking out the corner.
This is spring?
Welcome to
Snows in spring? In Alaska? Oh, oh, oh. Oh, is his foot actually... Oh. Oh, gosh.
What are we looking for exactly?
Nance.
Any mention of dark wizards or alternate dimensions?
I don't think that would be in the
Things in that vein?
papers. No.
I don't know. I wanted to make sure that you knew that Steve and I are just friends. Like platonic with a capital P.
Underlined and bold and everything.
The Weekly Watcher, I can't believe they have this.
Don't they write about, like, Bigfoot and UFOs?
First of all, UFOs are absolutely real. Bigfoot, I'm still on the fence about.
My girl, into aliens. Hell yeah.
If someone's gonna write about that, it's gonna be these weirdos.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, that's fair. Might be worth them. Might be an even brighter shot in the dark.
Ah.
Elvis cloned by aliens. Of course.
You never know.
I mean, hey, who knows how popular he is in space? You know, who knows what kind of music aliens are into?
Victor Creel claims vengeful demon killed family. The murder that shocked a small community.
Really?
Ah, that's very funny.
I'm not.
That's an actual headline?
Victor believed his house was haunted by an ancient demon. Victor allegedly.
Oh, Robin, you beautiful gay genius.
Victor was declared legally insane by the court, right? Well, what if this is why?
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
it sounds pretty insane. It just didn't go public because
The plea bargain, the records were sealed.
What if a demon did invade Victor's home?
Found it?
Yeah, and not just Chrissy's file. Fred was seeing Miss Kelly.
Fred Benson. Fred. So Fred, Chrissy, and you. Fred, Chrissy, and you. All of you are seeing... Thingy. Lucas, what have you gotten yourself into? What have you honestly gotten yourself into? You want to be popular so bad? Apparently this is what popular is.
You have fought this evil before, and you've won.
So many times.
But this evil is like a virus. Each time it returns, it comes back stronger.
Like a fungus that just doesn't know to piss off. Oh, and he's running. He's running. Yeah, let's just run. Run, Lucas, just run.
What if I told you there was a way to bring them back?
Way to bring them back? For more experiments? You talking about that, more experiments, more of what? Dr. Benedicta?
You may feel you need to go to them now, but if you do, you will risk everything.
No, that's not a good sign. Severe headaches.
I know.
Is it the same thing she has? Is it the same thing she has? Nosebleeds? Oh, Max! She's next. Max is next.
It's a lot for anyone.
Max is next.
You're not the only ones in danger.
Jane, you gotta save Max.
What if I'm not good?
You gotta save Max. You gotta save your gal pal. They're gone. But hey, they paid. They paid, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. They paid. Yeah. Oh God. No, Max is next. No, I don't like that. Max is next. Oh, screw grandfather clocks, man. Screw grandfather clocks.
Max.
Oh no, he's found her. He's latched on. Oh God, this is not going to be an easy season. This is not going to be an easy season. Not in the slightest. So yeah, not looking good. Can't lie, folks. Can't lie, folks. This ain't looking good. It's not looking good for Max. Not looking good for the team. Not looking good for Hawkins. Probably not looking good for the world. You know, it ain't looking good. It's not looking like it's gonna be our summer. Not look or spring break. I mean, well, yeah, spring break. It's a spring. Not looking like it's gonna be our spring or spring break or vacation or whatever. But damn, yeah. So that ending. So Max is next. I figured. So I mean, it's not specifically people who have been to counselling. It's just people with those symptoms. 'Cause I think you know, like the counselling is just like the way for the team and for Max to track them and to actually keep like a record of who could be a potential victim. But then, as Max discovered, everyone who died, like the two people who have died so far, Chrissy and Fred, they had the same symptoms. They had the headaches, they had the nosebleeds, they had, you know, constant nightmares and everything of their traumas and all that kind of stuff. So like they all had the same symptoms, and then that's when Max figured out that she was actually next and everything. So even then, that boy on the posse, the Lucas is part of too. He had nosebleeds too. He had nosebleeds in the car, and I think he has his own stuff going on that's as of yet unexplored and everything. So I don't know if like so I think given that the Vecna has now very clearly latched onto Max too. I don't know if he's gonna go after her first, or if he's actually gonna take care of the boy first and then go for Max second or something. Because I think Max's trauma is directly related to the Upside Down too. I think there's not very many traumas in town that are related to the Upside Down. I mean Max's trauma also stretches back to Billy's initial kind of abuse of her and like initially going through like that kind of an adolescence and everything. But still, her most recent trauma, and at least the one being highlighted in this case, is actually watching Billy actually get killed by the Mind Flayer, a creature from the Upside Down, and a creature created by the Upside Down. And I feel like that makes Max feel like an even more ideal target. So like her trauma was created and is directly linked to the world that the Vecna comes from. So then dealing with her for him would be like an even more interesting ordeal. Like, oh, so like, you know, like my world is the source of your nightmares and the source of your trauma. So then it should be like, I wonder then if that means it will take longer or if it will be quicker latching onto, because then that means that, and especially like given what she's been through, because I think she's been here since season 2. She's been here since season 2, so then she's been dealing with this stuff for a while now too. So then that means that she'll then have some idea of how to fight this and how to resist it, how to fight this and how to resist it and everything. So then that means that she'll see Vecna coming a mile, like hopefully see Vecna coming a mile away and actually be able to kind of identify the signs and everything. I mean, the first thing being the grandfather clock in the wall, like that being like a really out of place thing. So then I wonder then like it'll probably be like, hopefully it takes like an episode or maybe 2 episodes to actually kind of like for Vecna to actually reach her and to actually properly lock onto her and everything. And then I wonder then if Vecna will grow even more impatient too, because then the other 2 were easy pickings because they were two normal human kids who had no idea what the fuck was going on, and they were just terrified out of their wits the entire time. So they didn't know how to fight back or if they could fight back. So then it was easy taking them out. But then Max has herself, her kind of years of experience and knowledge, and she even has friends who also know like just as much, if not more. And she even has like friends who are well versed in D&D, so they know how to fight the Vecna and everything. So that makes me feel like like Vecna, not only will this take the Vecna more time, but that dude is going to get more impatient. He's going to fight harder to try and grab onto her and even hold onto her and that kind of stuff. But then does that mean that he's going to deploy even more gruesome tactics or even more kind of harsh tactics to try and get to her or something? So I don't know. But either way, our girl Max, what's her last name? Is it Mayfeld? Is it Max Mayfeld or is it Mayfield? Because I was thinking like Max Caulfield or Max I think Caulfield, but then I was like, no, that's from Life is Strange. Is it Max Mayfeld or is it Max Mayfield? I think it's Max May something, right? Let me Google this. I don't know why I'm forgetting. It's Max Mayfield. Max Mayfield. Yeah, Max Mayfield. Okay, so yeah, Max Mayfield. Because then I was thinking like Max like Caldwell or Caldwell. I think, but no, that's the girl from, or at least the girl from the first Life is Strange. So yeah, I haven't played any of them, but I need to play some of those more recent games. I've heard they're really good. So yeah, but yeah, Max. So yeah, Max Mayfield unfortunately is the next one on the chopping block of the Vecna. So that scene of the Vecna actually kind of being jacked into, actually wiring itself into the upside down kind of mainframe, if you will, and actually scouring like the Vecna has its own cerebro that it plugs into, and even the divisions of like the little kind of like glowy like smoky silhouettes of all the people, and its mind kind of scouring through them and finding all sorts of people, and it's like people young and old with different kinds of traumas and histories and everything. So people going through all sorts of stuff like abuse and assault and violence and all sorts of different things and everything. I don't know if that scene showed. It did. Yeah, I think it did. It actually showed like that's when it led to Vecna actually finding the boy that was in the car with Chrissy's boyfriend and his group and everything. So yeah, so I think that then led us to believe that he could have been next. But then no, I think it also would have been relevant because then he's part of that group and they're doing their own kind of violent and very, very horrific thing. So yeah, I think technically then he's chosen 2 targets. I think maybe, just maybe, the episode could start off with showing us him killing the boy, but then maybe the rest of the episode he spent because she might be that much harder to kill or take hold of. Maybe the rest of the episode literally might be spent trying to hunt down Max and trying to kill her. So I don't know, maybe, just maybe. So yeah. It's all just a little bit terrifying. So But yeah, speaking of the posse, we had should I Google his name? Because I literally, I think I'm pretty sure since I found out about him, like, I couldn't remember his episode. I couldn't remember his name from the first episode. Like, since, I think, I'm pretty sure since then, I might have clarified that I forgot his name, that I forgot his name a few times, but since then, I swear I've just been calling him Chrissy's boyfriend. So I don't know if I should probably just kind of very quickly Google what his name is. Just for a second. Jason. Okay, Jason Carver. Of course his name's Jason. Of course his name's gonna be Jason. Look at him. He looks like a Jason or a John or I don't know. Just like you know what? I'm not even gonna question the fact that his name is fucking Jason Carver. Just absolutely. Just it's not even it's not even impossible. It's not even impossible. Not even remotely unlikely. Jason Carver. Jason fucking Carver, of course. What else are they going to call him? So, yeah, don't know if Chrissy's boyfriend is catchy or if Jason, because Jason just saying that, anyway. Jason, aka Chrissy's boyfriend, and the captain of the basketball team, obviously, he and his posse are very aggressively and very ruthlessly and very sinisterly hunting Eddie in, again, what seems like pretty much the most lethal of ways. I think they're packing weapons, they were packing wrenches and baseball bats and tools and all sorts of different melee things, you know, things that could, with their strength and with their intentions and with their, you know, well, whatever skill sets they have on hand, they could definitely use to cause some harm. And I think with their level of aggression, I think especially with, I literally just googled this. Jason, his name is Jason, of course. Yeah, Jason with Jason's level of aggression and his level of grief and his level of hatred, especially towards Eddie. All this in combination, I have very legitimate concerns and kind of anticipations that, you know, they go there intending to beat the crap out of him for what he's done, but also to get information out of him. But then in Jason's aggression, he might just end up near killing him. I think he might end up actually near killing him, maybe leaving him for dead or leaving him to succumb to his injuries or to just do whatever. And I think maybe his friends either run away or they pull him away. I think if they might run away if they're too scared, because then maybe even his friends only really want to beat him up, but then not even that badly. So then if they see how far that Jason is willing to go, they might either recoil in fear and run away, or they might pull him away, but then he might fight back or whatever. So then, but then if they leave him, then he might go too far and actually end up killing him. But then if they pull him away, then he might only be like near dead or something. So and I think again, that depends on if Eddie's there at all too. I think I'm praying. I mean, don't know where else he would go, because I think that was his initial safe place to go to, and then even the crew, you know, Steve and Robert and Dustin and Max even then found him too. So if they and they even made the good point that if they can find him, then it's not gonna be too long before anyone else can either. You know, and I think, you know, like you know, like the police kind of drove right past too, so I think they clearly know the area. Like it's Hawkins, it's a small town, you can get around easily. So hopefully he hid well enough. I think even then it's like, I think they're there to find him, so they are more than willing, and especially like an empty boathouse like that no one, not very many people really care about too. You know, Reefer Rick is nowhere to be found, so like not very many people care about it. So I think they can easily ransack it to their heart's content until they find him too. So, you know, depending on how good of a hiding spot he's got, I think they're not really gonna, you know, give up until they've actually searched every possibility. So it doesn't look good. So I'm hoping they don't find him regardless. I'm hoping maybe he even left too, in his state, knowing that, you know, knowing that like his name isn't public yet, but everyone involved with the case already thinks and pretty much like he's prime suspect. He's suspect number one. They're like, he has no spare clothes. He has nothing to disguise himself with. He has nowhere else to run either. So even if he does run, then nowhere else he can really go without being seen. So things are not looking good. So yeah, but that group honestly is just gives me the worst kind of vibes. It's like it's turned from judgment to outright judge, jury, and execution. Like it's gone from their own typical kind of high school social stigma kind of judgment of the jocks versus the nerds and whatever, down to down to like whatever the hell this is, and you know, them kind of you know, using this and like using Chrissy's death and their grief, and even using like, you know, like Eddie's kind of hobbies and his overall, you know, kind of status and nature as a reason to actually kind of dish out this kind of punishment on him, to like taking his punishment into their own hands. Like even if he had killed her, then they would still see it as like Chris would. Chris and Jason. I mean, he looks like Chris. Yeah, I think he honestly does kind of look like Chris, and you know, not specifically in Evans, but he does kind of. I like Chris is also something I actually wouldn't disbelieve him being called. He looks like Chris, like a John, like a Jason, like a Jack, like a just all very very typical names. But so yeah, no offense to him. I think the actor honestly is doing a great job too. I think the actor is fully selling the character's kind of ability to. The actor is fully selling the character off as this kind of guy to be really concerned about, but also like a guy with a legitimate concern going way too far. Like he's fully selling it as that too. So yeah, I think obviously like him being like the kind of like or him being almost like the Billy in this case, but also like but in the sense that like he's the one kind of human grounding element. Like he's the one he's one of the few kind of human elements, the one grounding element. Like he has no idea what the upside down is. He has no idea about that kind of stuff. He genuinely thinks that a kid who's into all this kind of fantasy stuff has actually gone AWOL in the head with all the fantasy stuff, and then has performed some kind of cult like ritual and murdered Chrissy, and then fled the scene and all that kind of stuff. So he genuinely believes that he's the good guy in this case, and that he's actively stopping some kind of satanic threat or something. So you know, we all know that's not the case, but he's selling that well enough, so props to him. So with that in mind, I'm kind of hoping they don't find him, and I'm hoping that he's actually kind of maybe by some miracle found a better place he can hide, or even actually at least found like a good hiding spot that he can, or maybe even like they kind of decide to leave before they ransack the whole place, and maybe they decide to leave like you know, and actually find somewhere else, and maybe kind of come to the senses and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, one can only hope. One can only freaking hope in this kind of a story. So yeah. And yeah, then we also saw Nancy reuniting with Team Scoops, which essentially we're Team Scoops plus Max, Team Scoops plus Max. So, plus Max minus Erica. We don't know where is Erica. We didn't see Erica. We didn't get any Erica this episode. I mean, to be fair, I think she can and will very easily come back too. I think she very likely has to be in the rest of the season. I think her introduction was primarily to get her involved with the D&D stuff, so you know, I think they haven't necessarily found like a need to actually drag her into this episode just yet. So I think maybe next episode or the episode after that, you know, like once they figure out that they need like another D&D player to actually help defeat the Vecna, then they bring in the brains and the brawn and the, you know, brightness that is Erica Sinclair. Then she'll come in and help save the day and help fight, you know, whatever threat is out there. So yeah, I'm willing to bet she's gonna have some great intel on the Vecna. I'm willing to bet she's gonna have some great moves against the Vecna and everything. So can't wait for her to come in. So yeah, Nancy reunited with Team Scoops and everything. So and yeah, we had the dream girl duo that is Robin and Nancy. So that was awesome. They were really, I think they didn't have much going on besides from the library stuff, but even then I think that was good. And I think it had some obviously like some awkward first meeting kind of vibes to it too. I think again it's like the kind of instant kind of clarification even from Robin that they don't know each other that well, and you know, this is obviously like their first time actually working together too. And even Robin's thing, like, you know, I'm not really very good at sensing too many social cues, but I kind of get the feeling that you're annoyed with me and everything, and all that kind of stuff too, which is a common trait, a commonly kind of shared trait and everything. But even I think it being their first time working together, we don't know exactly what their history is like. I think they did attend the same kind of high school and everything. You know, she attended like the same, presumably the same term as them, and I think she was even in like the same music class or something as Steve too. Like she had that story about like him and the Bagel Crumbs and Tammy Thompson back in season 3 too. So I think they presumably attended the same time and even had like maybe like a couple of classes together and everything. But we didn't really hear or see anything about her until season 3. So it's kind of curious. But either way, I think that can safely mean that, you know, she likely saw Nancy around the school too, and even given how Nancy was, I think she probably like became popular dating Steve at the time too, so then she probably knew her that way. But now, you know, now they're all getting ready to go off to, getting ready essentially to go off to college and, you know, move on with their lives and grow and mature, and they've all matured. Like all the people who were the oldest teenagers in season 1 have all kind of now matured into much more youthful kind of adults and young adults and people capable of actually doing great things, and people who have experience fighting off all these monsters and threats, and people who have actually grown together and actually grown to like each other a bit more and actually, get along a bit better. So because of that, I'm very interested to see exactly what Robin and Nancy's do is, especially because I think back in season 3, I think Robin did kind of initially describe her as kind of like I think she's like a word to describe her, like not necessarily like derogatory, but I think she did kind of kind of like in like a certain way, and I think she used like a word too, like ditz or spritz or maybe the way that she was back in high school, maybe the way they were back in high school. I think it was easy to see her that way, like, oh, she's the popular girl because she's dating Steve, but then she like, even back in season 1, you could tell like she wasn't like Steve, she wasn't like his friends, she wasn't innately popular. She kind of got down, cracked, like her best friend was Barb, and she cracked down, and they both kind of studied and tried to do their best and everything, which obviously didn't really match up fully with the popular kids and everything. So yeah, but I think with the way Robin described her back then, I think it was kind of different. But even now, I think I'd like to think that even then, I think even then, I think Robin was kind of probably describing her even under the mindset of still like how she saw her in high school, because I think even then, I think even in season 3, I think she hadn't properly met her until like the final, until the finale, or like until like the finale / penultimate episode. So even then, I think that was her first time properly meeting her in the midst of like a battle and in the midst of all that kind of stuff. So I think this is her first time actively being alone with her and actually spending time with her and actually kind of seeing what she's like and everything. So I think then, and I think even since then they've both matured. So I think now this time Robin actively wants like an actual smooth introduction. She wants to actually kind of properly meet her and actually see what she's like and everything. So but then it's like like being the kind of like somewhat socially awkward gay that she is. She's kind of afraid of first impressions, and she I think she even actively says like, she even has trouble detecting like proper social cues and like finding out. And I think she also like has that one that I think is also like a very commonly kind of shared trait too, is like maybe not just detecting social cues, but also like wondering like like, hey, like am I annoying you? Am I being annoying? Is my talking annoying? Is my being here annoying? Is my existence annoying? Am I like should I pull back? Like that kind of like over anxiety, like that kind of anxiety and that kind of over kind of concern that like your very presence and your very existence on the same dimensional plane as someone is like, I need to pull back, I need to stop existing if I'm gonna if I want to stop annoying them or something, so that kind of thing. No, I think for the most part they got along great. They got along absolutely great. I think Nancy for the most part was kind of worried that like her shot in the dark would be too much of a shot in the dark, and she wasn't really kind of entirely sure where she was headed with this. But then it was worth checking out, and then maybe actually being with someone else too, kind of felt like I think maybe she felt like she didn't want to have to fail in front of Robin too. Didn't want it to be too much of a waste of her time as well. But in the end, I think even in the end, Robin was the one who came in with the answers. Like the weekly watch or the Watcher Weekly or something, like some kind of conspiracy theory type kind of newsletter type thing with like Bigfoot and UFOs. And hey, my girl Robin believes in UFOs, believes in aliens. I set myself up to be disappointed in the beginning. I set myself up to be so disappointed in the beginning when I duped myself into thinking that aliens could have been landing in Dr. Owen's front yard with the lights. They set that up perfectly. First the rumbling and the plates and everything falling and everything. First they set that up perfectly, and the lights in the sky moving down. But then you zoom in, like then you actually go through the window and zoom out, and you see the blades, and it's like, oh god, it's nowhere near as cool as a UFO. It's just a freaking helicopter. We have those. We already have those, and they're flown by boring little humans and everything. So I duped myself into thinking. I duped myself. I set myself up for disappointment and everything. I think if aliens were real in this universe, that would be the coolest thing too. I think we've had, I think it would be like a surprise, and I think it would be a surprise that would be very it would be super risky to pull off too, because I think this season has relied so much on alternate universe stuff, but also like very, very specific alternate universe stuff, and like, again, haven't touched the multiverse, haven't touched any of that kind of stuff. Like the alternate universe stuff they've done in this story has been incredibly specific, and incredibly specific, like pretty much two Stranger Things too. So the way they've done that is pretty much meticulous and pretty much works in the way it works because of what it is and everything. So I think if they added aliens to the mix, I think it would aliens is just everywhere. Aliens are everywhere, and they have been everywhere in almost every kind of movie, in every kind of format, in every different kind of medium, and not necessarily hard to make aliens entertaining, but it's definitely hard to kind of like pull off in like an original way now, and in like a way that hasn't been done before and everything. So there's that. But yeah, I think if Stranger Things did aliens, then that would, I think that would be adding like a whole other entity and a whole other kind of like a nature and a whole other world to this that, you know, I feel like it's already complicated enough for them to actually keep bringing the same nature and the same kind of world and entity kind of back into the mix, like in like a new way and in like a stronger way, with the Upside Down and all of its creatures and everything. So to add aliens to that mix, I think it would be kind of, you know, it would be that. I think I feel like that would be like fan service. But then it's like, hey, I'm a fan, I'm being serviced, I don't care. But then it like in the grand scheme of things, in terms of pleasing the general audience, I felt like it really kind of wouldn't work. So I think if they did like a somewhat like a half canon spin-off with aliens, I would be all for it. If they did like a half canon spin-off with aliens, I would be all for it. I would be all for it. Stranger Things really. Give me Robin in a half canon, like Robin and maybe like a few other kind of friends and characters from the show, like Team Scoops. Give me a show like a spin-off about Team Scoops in a half canon spin-off with aliens, you know, instead like they've been dealing with the Upside Down for so long now. Give them aliens this time. Even Dustin would love it. Steve and aliens would be like an awesome mix. Like Erica would be sassing them back to space. You know, Erica would be sassing them all the way back to space. You know, Steve would be like, okay, can't tell if they're hostile or not, but if they are, then let me know and I'll whip up the baseball bat and get to work and everything. And then Dustin and Robin would be totally geeking out. They would be totally geeking out. Okay, I am setting myself up for disappointment. I don't know. Maybe I could write the fanfic. If Stranger Things won't do it, then once I get past the ultimate and inevitable procrastination, I'll do it myself. Aliens and Stranger Things. Okay. Okay. We'll see what happens. But anyway, back to Robin and Nancy. So, God, that idea is going to be in my head for forever now. I'm hoping I can still remember it by the end of this video, so then I can actually jot it down quickly and just keep it in mind for future fanfic, ideas. So, yeah, Robin and Nancy. So I think, normal newspapers didn't really have anything on it besides from the fact that he was guilty and he was sentenced and everything. But then, of course, it was the Weekly Watcher, whatever thing that Robin found with all the conspiracy theories and all the crazy stuff going on. That no kind of, like a normal or sane person would believe in, that actually had the whole idea that, oh, Creel actually had like a demon possessing his house and everything. So, yeah, it turns out that Creel actually wasn't insane or crazy or like he wasn't like inherently like a murderer, but he genuinely believed that he committed the murders back in like 59 as well. So I think he was like Robin said, he would be like 70 odd years old by now. So he'd be like, even if he did do anything, then he'd be like a grandpa walking around and killing people. So I mean, not that that's impossible by any stretch, but it would definitely be unique. But no, he actually, I think back in the day, he actually genuinely believed that his house was haunted by a demon, by Vecna, by the actual demon. And we've seen this is very easily possible too, because even in the Upside Down Creel house, the twisted Upside Down Creel house, is exactly where the Vecna resides, like in the attic of the Upside Down Creel house is where the Vecna's domain is. That's where he plugs in, and that's where he does his thing and everything. So then in the real world, I think that exact kind of duplicate kind of normal Earth house is where the house is. So then I think it's like essentially speaking, I think it's called the Upside Down because if you go upside down, you'll find yourself in the exact same place, only darker and in the other world and everything. But then, technically speaking, everything is still in the exact same place, just flipped down. So then that way, Creel House on the Upside Down is literally underneath Creel House on the real world and everything. So it makes it very easy, like very little distance kind of travelling. So yeah, but he believed his house was possessed by the Vecna and everything, and so he then tried to do his own exorcism. I mean, whether or not the exorcism itself was entirely correct, I think we don't know. I think there's no telling. But then I think it at least worked to the extent that Vecna caught on and he stopped it. But then he also he possessed Creel. And then he actually made him kill. I think they said possessed Creel and then made him kill his entire family and gouged their eyes out. But then Vecna spared him, but then took his eyes too. But then spared him. So yeah, so then I think under a plea deal he was convicted and then sent to prison, sent to an asylum. He was sent to an asylum. I think especially like the story there, especially the story he told too. No one believed it. No one actually believed in that kind of stuff, and you know that got him into an asylum. I'm trusting maybe like the house itself being the site, being the literal site of being the literal site inside and out of like an actual murder kind of crime scene thing. It was like locked down, it was shut down, it was sealed off and everything. So very believable that it actually does stand by itself as an actual haunted house on the outskirts of town or something that no one ever visits, and maybe became like an urban legend, and people kind of warn their children not to go, and then kids play pranks or whatever. So yeah, the history of Creel House. So yeah, Victor Creel being the last actual survivor of a demonic possession and like an actual kind of familial massacre. So yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? We had it kind of on two sides too, like Robin reassuring Nancy that her and Steve were just friends and that it was literally impossible for anything to happen between them and they were platonic with a capital P, and then of course my kind of underlining and boldening and everything. So on their side it was her informing Nancy, and then of course on Steve's side it was actually Steve defending his feelings and defending his lack of feelings rather to Dustin, like Dustin having sensed that like Steve still had a thing for Nancy, and then Steve saying apparently that was unlikely. So I mean obviously on Robin's side I think she has only come out to Steve. She has only come out to Steve, and no one else, like literally no one else knows or anything. So I think not that she has to. She's perfectly entitled to only have it kind of kept to Steve and everything, and for only him to know, and for her to only trust him with the secret, and then maybe Vicky, if she actually does kind of come forward with Vicky, and actually kind of sees if she feels the same way and everything, then of course that. But then I do wonder if anyone else in the friend group might find out. But I think besides Dustin and Erica, she doesn't really know anyone else too. I think even with Dustin and Erica, I think she only knows them through their fighting with the upside down stuff with Steve. She's like, they've actually connected. They're friends. They're genuinely friends, and they're good friends, and they're close friends and everything. And they, I think I actually saw I saw a post on Twitter, I think like yesterday or like I think the day before that. I think but it was like a post on Twitter of like from like different shows too, from different shows of like socially awkward lesbians and their emotional support himbos, and it was like a bunch of different kind of like combinations of those two kind of character types. And then of course from Stranger Things you got the one and only Robin Buckley and Steve Harrington, Robin being the socially awkward lesbian, and then Steve being her emotional support himbo and everything, which honestly that tracks so well. So I think in that sense I think they're really good friends. They're really good kind of capital P platonic friends, and they've connected really well, and they trust each other, and they know each other to that extent too. But I think she really doesn't really kind of have that level of connection with anyone yet. I think with this season I do wonder if it will give her the chance to connect with anyone else, because then I think there's no reason for her to only really be friends with Steve. I think she can easily kind of connect to the rest of the friend group too, or at least to others her age too. I think actually seeing her be friends with Nancy too. I think seeing her kind of be friends with Nancy would be like an actual really good kind of a really good kind of thing to see too. For all we know, Nancy is straight. So then there's no kind of chance there either. Like I think there's no chance for anything to happen between them two. But I think even then, I think her having like an actual genuine kind of like girl who is a friend, like an actual gal pal, not like a gal pal, would be like a good idea too, like her being able to connect with Nancy, and like maybe her and Nancy spending the season actually fighting together, them spending time together, doing the upside down stuff, doing research, actually being their own kind of dream girl duo and everything would actually be a really nice thing to see and a really fun thing to see, like them too. Because I think the entire season, Robin kind of like had like a really strong season with Steve. They kind of really solidified them together as partners and as friends and everything. So that was like a really good thing. But I think with Nancy, I think she's just kind of like first she had Steve, then she had Jonathan, and then she had Jonathan again. So I think Nancy, just because like Barb was her best friend and she had lost her like in the first kind of quarter alone, the first quarter of season 1. So since then she hasn't had like a girlfriend or like an actual kind of girl, kind of gal pal, that she can actually kind of shoulder on or rely on or connect with or anything. She's just been surrounded by boys like pretty much since then, so she hasn't really kind of had the chance. I think Elle and Max are just way like just really young, and they're both doing their own thing, and she just kind of has aspirations and she wants to do stuff and everything. So I feel like because that, Robin and Nancy, just give me Robin and Nancy actually fighting monsters and doing research and being like mystery solving kind of sleuthing kind of duo and everything, like a sapphic Sherlock Holmes and her I don't know, her gal pal. So yeah, her non-sapphic gal pal. So yeah, I don't know, just sort of something along those lines. But I think seeing Robin and Nancy actually spending time, actually talking, and actually kind of getting shit done, like actually them getting shit done, would be good. And maybe even Erica joining the mix too. Maybe even Erica joining that mix too, and being a part of that trio, and maybe get Max in. I think Max and L Max. I think that whole team, just because I think again, I think historically on the show they haven't really kind of had like too much of an issue actually giving women important roles and important jobs, and actually giving them kind of moments to shine and everything. Like Eleven has been really Jane has been really powerful as 11 in the past. Winona Ryder as Joyce, like she is just someone you do not want to fuck with, and she has shown us that on multiple occasions. So Joyce is just a badass and everything. So yeah, among other things, of course, so yeah, so yeah, again, Robin and Nancy, just yes, Robin and Nancy, that is a yes. That is an absolutely just a yes. So yeah, season 1, like everyone hated Steve, and then season 2 onwards, we would die for him. Season 2 onwards, I'm pretty sure like 99% of the fandom would absolutely die for Steve Harrington, because he's actually worth protecting, and he's so much more lovable and so much more likable, and he's actually a good guy now, and he's actually decent and heroic, and he's protective, and he cares about people and everything. Like he had, like I think his character shift, his shift of character is easily one of my favorites in TV, easily one of my favorites. And I think actually seeing that happen too, I think also seeing the fact that like seeing how it happened too, seeing how he changed, seeing how and why he shifted too, like it was totally believable and everything. Seeing the fact that he was just like surrounded by assholes back then, so then he kind of blended into that mold. But then once he saw through once he saw through that kind of cracked kind of glass, and I don't know if that's a good analogy. I think once he saw through that smoke, once he saw through the smoke and the blinds and everything, then he saw the truth, and he realized that he could change and he could be better, and he did. He became so much better once he abandoned them and decided to move on and be better and everything. So since then, I think Steve has just been numero uno on lists of like favorite characters of, or at least like very very high on the list of favorite characters that people have when it comes to Stranger Things, and with good reason too. So he's just great. He's just so great. I think now, I feel like now more people might actively ship him and Nancy together. I think especially Nancy too. I think she's kind of striven to be more independent and strove to actually get to this, and kind of has kind of strove. I think I don't know. So like strived. I don't know, like sought. How about sought? Yeah, she has actively sought to get stuff done a bit more, and to actually kind of sort out her own life a bit more too. She's actively kind of sought to be more independent, and to be more headstrong, and to never back down from what she wants to get and what she wants to do and everything. So I think because of that, they've both very easily and very visibly kind of matured as people. So I think now, I feel like now they would be like a somewhat of like a more viable kind of couple to be together. And I think the Nancy and Jonathan thing, I think to begin with, I feel like they were definitely kind of like likable, and you could definitely kind of see them and support them together. I think season one it was just because Steve was an asshole back then, and Jonathan was the actual kind of somewhat nicer one, even though he had kind of like awkward tendencies and creepy tendencies. And I think he was still like the nicer one, and him and Nancy still definitely kind of got along together. And I think so. Then because of that you wanted them to get together, and then season 2, Steve and Nancy broke up, and then Jonathan and Nancy. But then now it's like like going into this too, I think the time that has passed and the story they're going with, I think it's easy to see that like they're just kind of, they seem to be drifting apart. But then it's like everyone around them, or at least like the people in their lives around them, can see, like Fred and Argyle can see that they're just kind of like just not exactly as picture perfect of a couple as they describe. But then Jonathan and Nancy are the ones who insist on still kind of being those kind of like technically somewhat high school sweethearts that are just kind of still together, and they want to go to the same college, even though Jonathan's going somewhere completely different because he's already got the acceptance letter and everything. So then they kind of seem intent on keeping this together, like almost just for the sake of keeping it together. I think they could still very easily like each other, but like each other and care about each other, but then they're just not really as compatible as maybe they used to be. Whereas I think with Steve and Nancy, I feel like maybe I think I could also like a disclaimer, I could very easily have this opinion now, but then as the season progresses, I could easily kind of change and think something different. But I feel like now, based on this, I feel like Steve and Nancy are actually in much better places individually, and I think because of that, they might actually kind of have like a better chance together, like a better time together in this season than Jonathan and Nancy do. So I don't know where they might go with that. So I don't know, but I do hope they don't stick them back together just because, like, you know, boy girl attraction, romance, all that kind of shit and everything. I think especially with them, I think with Dustin too, I think he was kind of hopping on the bandwagon of like, oh, you were so protective over her, like her knight in shining armor, you so totally want to get back together, and you're so still into her and everything. So I think I don't want them to get back together just because of that. But then if they actually do actively find themselves kind of yearning again and actually kind of wanting to kind of see each other again, then I guess I wouldn't be totally against seeing where it goes and everything. But yeah, I think just in general, I think they're just kind of more mature and more kind of capable people now, and I think they both kind of have like slightly more to offer each other now than they did like seasons ago. So I guess we'll see where it's headed. So yeah. And then, of course, I think what we likely had was Angela pressing charges. I think they never mentioned it. They never actually showed her doing it. They never showed her besides from at the roller rink with the paramedics and everything. Because I imagine that they would press charges, but then even then, I think there were multiple eyewitnesses. There were pretty much everyone, like almost everyone in that skating rink could easily kind of, you know, testify that Jane did do it, and that she did actively walk up to Angela first and call out her name and everything. Because I think Angela tormenting thingy. I think people also did see Jane being tormented by Angela, but I don't know if many people would actually bring that up. I think I'm hoping / trusting, like, if at least a few people would mention, or what would mention, like, oh, at least would at least mention, like, oh, well, she did kind of pull that girl into the middle of the rink and then circle her and videotape her and even throw a milkshake on her and actually actively prank her and everything. So there was that. So that could have been some just clicked my neck. Somewhat of like a motivating factor, but I think for the most part, I think I think that like most people saw too, because then even then the actual music changed and that was like to Jane, and then that was like, you know, like people would have seen that. So I think maybe hopefully that could have been brought up as like a okay, so it wasn't like a one-sided event, like it wasn't like an unaggravated kind of thing, like, you know, she actively had been the kind of victim of like a prank and like a cruel social kind of thing before that. And then I think I don't know if don't know exactly how many kids from the school would have been there. That like, you know, kids at school have easily seen Angela picking on Jane too, so maybe they could testify that too. So I mean, I'm hoping someone was there to actually to at least offer both sides to that kind of story. But I think for the most part, the most aggressive thing was easy, because I think even then Angela threw a milkshake on her, but then she didn't actively kind of hurt her or, you know, beat her or do anything that lethal. Like, you know, like Jane literally kind of actually took the boot, like the roller skate thing, and then actually smacked her over. But then she did it so much that her skull actively cracked open and there was actually blood coming in there. They even said that she had like a grade 2 concussion. So I don't know how high those grades can go, but grade 2 does not sound great. So I think, I don't know if she's going to end up with like memory loss, or if she's going to end up with like, you know, semi-consciousness, or if she's going to end up like with like narcolepsy or some shit. But yeah, grade 2 concussion doesn't sound too great. And I think even the fact that she actually fractured her skull and her skin, that much the blood was coming out like to that extent, and that, you know, like her actively had like chances are her skull had been damaged too. I think it just generally just doesn't really look great either. So yeah. So yeah, I think with her age too, I think jail would not be the immediate kind of go-to, but rather juvie. I don't know why I didn't think of juvie first. Juvie definitely would make more kind of legal sense. So yeah, I think her getting like a criminal record, or initially to begin with, her getting a criminal record and being put in the system. But then, of course, luckily, because of her connections and because of her history, like one of the few good things, her history with the lab and her history with the Upside Down and all those tests and all that kind of science stuff, has to offer her. Dr. Owen coming back. I mean, to be fair though, also I think maybe the Upside Down thing, because then without that, the Dr. Owen would never have been contacted by the military guy in the beginning, and then he never would have come to bust her out, and then, you know, I mean, if we're gonna go that deep, then a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened, and she probably wouldn't even be here. But still, just sticking to what I had, sticking to what did happen. Dr. Owen came to bust her out and everything. So not only that, but then I think he also said that like everything about Angela and then the roller rink and everything could easily be like he could easily make that kind of stuff go away too. So I think. Yeah, I mean, I can't help but kind of appreciate how nice Dr. Owen was about this whole thing. Like, he came in with his squad cars and the military guy that contacted him and everything. He came in and like it was just like, oh hey kiddo, it's been a long time no see since I relocated you guys and everything. So then yeah, like he's actively and also understandably and expectedly like really nice with Elle and really kind and respectful towards her. So that's nice, but then of course he's here for the much bigger reason of like the exact same thing that she's been fighting in Hawkins for years on end, having returned once again in like a really much more deathly kind of way. So he is here for that. He's here almost exclusively for that. So he needs her help in actually sorting that out and actually putting that kind of issue. Hopefully this time, putting that issue to rest once and for all. So they didn't ever eat the food. I feel like maybe they could have actually, taken the food to go. Maybe they could have taken the food to go, because then they could have eaten it on the way back to wherever they're going. Because then, if she really is about to go through those trials again, actually kind of, well, not trials, but I think if she really is about to go through the program again, actually kind of get her powers back, then better to do it on like a full belly than do it while you're hungry or anything. So. No, but I mean, hey, at least he still paid. So it wasn't like a complete waste of the waitress's time. He still paid for it and everything. So that was that. But it's good to see Dr. Owen back again. I think Dr. Owen, since his introduction, has been nothing but one of the more kind of likable kind of members of the actual kind of group of scientists that worked at Hawkins Lab. And I think like he was always easy on Will, and he was always kind of respectful towards him. And he never actively tried to push him or do anything he wasn't comfortable with. I think he was easily one of the more humane ones too. Like the other ones were all kind of more obsessed and more kind of fascinated with the Upside Down and its kind of, like the kind of possibility of alternate universe discovery and all that kind of crap. But then Sam still, like Dr. Owen still saw Will as a kid who didn't deserve this, and he still tried to actually help him through his situation and everything. So I think since the beginning, I think he's been completely kind of aware and understanding of the fact that these are kids they're dealing with, so then they need to be recognized and treated as kids, and the fact that they don't deserve this and everything. So all of this stuff, like them being the scientists behind all this stuff, they need to actively take responsibility, but then also use whatever tools they have at their disposal and actively kind of like get whatever hands they need on deck and actually kind of solve this problem once and for all and everything. So. But then, yeah, he did mention the program. He did, I think, after Jane mentioned that she didn't have her powers anymore, and then what made her useful against the Upside Down and everything that came out of it before was no longer kind of present within her. He did actually mention I think he mentioned a program, then he got like a computer. My dumbass kind of thought like, oh, he literally means like an actual computer program that can give her powers back or anything. But then I think program can also mean like an actual project or like an actual operation or something. Can easily be referring to the very program that gave these kids their powers to begin with. So I think that was the MK Ultra stuff that happened with Jane's mother and like a bunch of other adults. That then I think she was pregnant with Jane at the time, so then that gave the baby powers, and then Jane came out with those powers, and then the MK Ultra thing turned into like a whole other thing that Brenner then used to actually train those kids. And I think even the military dude at the beginning being like, Jane was created and trained for this. Jane was at least trained for this very purpose by Brennan, for like remote assassinations and for killing people from a distance and doing all that kind of stuff, and that kind of thing happening. And I think even with Jane too, I think even with her trauma, I think her trauma also being that she actually so brutally and so vividly kind of remembers actually attacking Angela in such a brutal manner, but then even being asked by Mike, like, what did you do? What have you done? Actually, kind of flashes her back to the massacre at Hawkins Lab and everything. I kind of can't help but wonder, like, I mean, if Creel had been possessed by the Vecna, I mean, obviously, like the Creel, like his house was actively possessed by the Vecna, so he was under like a hospital. But then even then, Hawkins Lab is a hospital too. Like Hawkins Lab is actually where I'm pretty sure like it is where they actively kind of first opened an actual portal to the Upside Down. I mean, even then that was Elle. That was actually Elle back then too. Like her making contact with the Demogorgon actually opened up that portal. But then even then that was where they first opened the portal. So then would that not allow the Vecna kind of like a more physical passage through there too? Because I think there's no telling if it's simply the spiritual and kind of dimensional connection between the kind of the Creel house in there and the Creel house down there, or if there's actually like an actual portal of a different kind in Creel house or something. But then in Hawkins Lab there was actually like an actual kind of like a portal that was actually opening wider and wider too. So then with that one, I can't help but wonder, like, maybe then if like an actual physical opening would actually allow the Vecna or someone to actually kind of because then that's how the Mind Flayer got through. That's pretty much how the Mind Flayer got through it, especially in like season 2 as well. So assuming that like the opening there, I mean technically yes, technically no, but I think after that, I think there was way too much kind of chaos after the gateway was opened with the Demogorgon coming through. Because then I'm not sure if there's actually too much of like a strong kind of timeline between the gate opening and the Demogorgon coming through, or if like the gate was open but then 11 was taken away and then Brenner had his own scientist trying to shut it down and everything. Because Because then maybe it could have been a thing of like Elle opened the gate, and then that was the biggest thing she'd done, and also the most destructive thing she'd done. So then they took her away and put her back in the Rainbow Room. And then Brenner had his scientist try and close it again, or even try and examine it, see what it was. But then in that time, maybe the possession of the Vecna or the possession of the Mind Flayer or someone actually came through, and then maybe it latched onto Elle, because then she was the one who opened it. She was the one who actually made contact, and then they possessed her and made her kill everyone. And then after that, the Demogorgon came through and actually killed everyone else and attacked and caused chaos and everything. So then maybe that's how that could have happened. Because then I think it still used her powers. I think it still actively used her powers to kill. Because then she can still make her kind of eyes bleed and cause all that kind of destruction. So I don't know. I think he even showed like I think she can move stuff with her mind too. So it even showed like the door blasting out and actually whacking Thingy in the face and actually killing the other kid too. So I think like if it possessed her, it could definitely kind of use her powers to kill everyone. So it wouldn't need any other kind of special thing besides from a connection. So maybe that's how it happened. So I think that kind of theory does kind of rely on like the timeline being like a bit more spread out to allow gaps for things to happen in the way that they did. So if they're doing a flashback like that of Eleven being at Hawkins' lab and killing everyone, actually that kind of thing happening back in the timeline where season 1 would have taken place, I think you kind of have to logically fit it somewhere where, something like the Demogorgon escaping would actually happen afterwards and everything. So, but then there was even that scene with Mike and Elle too, in her bedroom too, like her refusing to eat breakfast and everything, and her just kind of like still being too traumatized by everything that happened, and her kind of like her speech about like her, well, not speech, but like her like that scene of her like talking and being like, it's because she doesn't belong here. She is different from Mike. Like Mike still knows how to I think he has an idea of how to fit in, but then he doesn't because he stays true to himself, but then that gets him picked on, but then he still knows what's socially acceptable, he still knows how to behave in society, he still knows how to be and how to be around people and how to avoid the wrong people and how to find his own people. But then with Elle, she was literally raised in a lab, like until pretty much until because just because she's number 11 doesn't mean that she was actually 11 when like she actually first showed up and everything. So then like back then she definitely had to be probably like no older than 10 or something. Which I mean 11 would come after 10, but still you get what I mean. She was still young enough back then, but then like pretty much like almost her entire childhood was actually still kind of spent within that lab, being tested, being trained, being taught to be this thing, being taught to be something other than an actual child and everything. So then because that like her upbringing, and I think it was even like it was even a while before Hopper found her too. Like even after that, like I think it wasn't until like season 2 that Hopper found her and everything in the woods, and he took her in, and then he still had kind of trouble kind of teaching her how to be and teaching her how to like behave like an actual kid, and actually kind of like teaching her how to be a kid and how to enjoy stuff and everything. But then I think she had no problem enjoying stuff, but then actually kind of enjoying it in like an actual, like an actual visibly kind of normal kind of way and everything. In front of other people, and then I think that was one of the reasons why he actually kept her in the cabin too, because then she wouldn't really kind of know how to be in society, how to fit in with people, and she does not fit in nearly the same way as Mike does. I think she is so noticeably and so visibly kind of different too, and everything. So I think it kind of makes her like an easier target. I think her being the new kid, especially, I think especially when you're the new kid, you kind of have that kind of almost like a duty to actually kind of make like a good first impression, but then some people won't like you regardless. I think with Angela that might have been the case, but with Elle I think she kind of like I think she very easily would have felt more pressure to actually kind of be more likable, to be more approachable. But then I think with her maybe then she actually kind of became too noticeable too, like she actively became too nice or too kind of outgoing because she thought that would work, but then she didn't, and I think she still just doesn't know how to actively behave and stuff. I think even then like her response to bullying, which I mean, again, a lot of people do. I feel like it's safe to say, it's like kids fighting back against bullies. I think bullying scenes in media overall kind of oftentimes do show the kids fighting back, and sometimes fighting back in lethal ways, other times not lethal ways. But then I think regardless of what happens, I think the most common thing is, I think probably even reflective of real life, is that nothing happens under the hands of the authorities until the bullying victim fights back. The bullying can happen, and it can happen even if it's reported, it can still kind of keep going. But then until the victim fights back, nothing actually happens. Until the victim fights back, nothing happens. And then even then, what does happen is the victim gets taken in. They get started talking to you about how there's like a no tolerance kind of policy on violence, or you know, and effectively retaliation. Like if you're bullying, then if you're bullied, then just get used to it, because then that's what it is. But then like the victim's always the one who the victims are always the ones who actually get like a stern kind of talking to. But then in this case, I think Elle just kind of like, I mean, to be fair, I think in this case Elle never told anyone. I think the teacher definitely, I think the teacher, I think that was actually one of the few things I actually liked about that kind of playground scene, of the fact that the teacher came in and she saw, because then she knew even in the class, like, you know, Angela was being kind of overly sassy and overly kind of Angela and overly kind of smug and everything. So she kind of like knew, and of course with Elle being the new kid too, I think maybe she subconsciously kind of knew to keep an eye on her and make sure things were okay and everything. But then she knew something was going on, and Angela was at the forefront of it, so she knew in the playground, like, you know, Angela had to be the one kind of, you know, like responsible for this, so actually kind of had to play like a hand in this or something. So then she knew to take her straight away. So like one of the few times the teacher actually does something right and takes in the right people. But then even then that didn't really work, because then she went to the roller, she then went to the skating rink with like an actual vengeance kind of thing, and then she saw Elle, and then it was all hands on deck. And because even in the moment, I think she was just like really angry and just wanted to kind of she wanted to hit Angela, but then whether or not she actually wanted Angela to die from that hit, I think she just didn't really know, because I think she's thinking she wanted to stop. She's thinking she wanted to stop, and then maybe even on the plus side, actually have Angela be her friend and actually be nicer to her and everything. But then Angela is nowhere near as diplomatic or decent as she hoped. So then because that, she just wanted to stop. And then if Angela dies as a result, then I think again, like, Elle is not a killer. She's capable of killing, and she has killed things before. But then she's not like inherently a killer herself. She's not that kind of like a person. She's like killing, you know, mercilessly is not in her nature. She's not that kind of like a being or like a character or anything. So, but I think with her, the way she's responding is like, you know, she just wanted to stop. She just wanted what Angela was doing to stop. She just wanted the bullying to stop. She just wanted the pain and everything to stop. But then once she did what she did, like the kind of trauma from way back when came flooding back in, and then that kind of started affecting her and everything. So there was that sort of thing that like there's that stuff has been going on with her, and then even her and Mike, like, they've been going through their own shit too. You know, like her thinking that Mike doesn't really kind of feel the same way about her anymore, or that he doesn't really kind of communicate with her as well as he used to, which I think that kind of thing can be like a mixed thing. But then even then, like, her letters to, like, the letters to, like, she claims he no longer writes about how he actually feels, or that he even actually writes that he doesn't really write like he loves her anymore, because then each letter is like, you know, it's from Mike, not like love Mike, or, you know, love you Mike, or anything like that. So then she just kind of feels like, you know, like he's drifting away or something. But then I think, and again, to be fair though, like she hasn't been truthful with him. She hasn't been honest with him about how she's feeling or what's happening to her. Like, she's been pretending that everything's okay, and that she's actually kind of building up the fantasy of her being a popular kid where everyone likes her or something. So, you know, I think there's, like, in that sense, there's kind of probably kind of still like faults on both ends and everything. So it's like a kind of situation between the two of them that's kind of complex in its own way. So. And then, of course, we have the Russian stuff with, ironically enough, with Joyce and Murray, and of course then Hopper too with Hopper. You know, he's having a conversation with Russian Enzo. The other guard called him Antonov, but I don't know if that's actually his name, or if that's just like a general kind of Russian kind of term that he was kind of referring to him with, like if he was calling him like comrade or guard mate or something in Russian, like if that's actually his name. I mean, it sounds like a name, Antonov definitely sounds like a name, but I don't know if that was his actual name, or if there's actually something else. But yeah, so he informed him that Joyce agreed to bring the money, so then they had the money. Apparently, I don't know how they got $40,000, but somehow they did. Don't even know if they actually addressed that, but somehow they actually got their hands on 40k, so that worked. Provided that Joyce brings the money to Yuri at the right time, and then he can bring the money over to Thing, because then he's actually like he's a smuggler, and he's by definition like a criminal too. But then he actually brings stuff over from America routinely, like the food and the Playboys and cigarettes and everything. So there's that, all the good stuff, all the good stuff and everything. So then this time he'll be bringing money over from America for Antonov to be a rich man. So I think I'm wondering. So I think I don't know. I mean, I'm not entirely sure if there is more they can do with him, because I think what they did last time with the Russians was actually interesting. But I think with this one, I feel like I don't know if they really wanted to go further than what they did before. Because I think with this time, the only involvement of the Russians have really is actually, is actually keeping Hopper on their side of the world and everything. So then now we have to get him back. So I think I'm kind of curious to actually see, because because then I think because then it would just mean that like the guy really is just in it for the money, and he sees like a financial opportunity here. Like this guy's American, he doesn't really kind of fully belong here or anything. So then it's like an opportunity to get him back to where he belongs, and then for him to be like a rich man too. I think presumably 40K must be pretty big in rubles back then. Anyway, back then before currency kind of elevated or whatever happens to currency. So do you like the exchange rate and everything? So yes, I think for him, like he literally said, like you get to go back to your woman and your country, and I get to be a rich man. So it's a win-win for everyone. So I mean, provided he does, provided Topper doesn't try anything, because he did say like if you try anything, then I can make sure you don't get on the plane, but then I'll still get the money. So it's all down to you to play along nicely and to make sure things go smoothly and everything. So then that kind of stuff happens. I think it really did kind of like, I think it feels weird to just kind of like have it play out that way. But then I think it's like, I mean if they really don't have anything more to do with them, then I think I guess it keeps it kind of simple, like to know that Hopper. I think well, I mean they still have the Demogorgon, so I think there's still the question of how they actually got their hands on a Demogorgon, like if they actually kind of did, because I think they did open like a portal in Russia, right? I think because they said they did try. I think in season 3, I think even Alexei said they did try opening a portal in Russia, but it just never worked. But then they found out that Hawkins had like scar tissue and like was a soft spot for the Upside Down, so that's why it actually worked in Hawkins compared to Russia. So I think maybe it could have worked well enough for them to bring a Demogorgon through, or maybe because I think to my knowledge, I think season 1 only ever actually showed one Demogorgon breaking through and everything, and then season 2 had the Demodogs and everything. So there was that. Whether or not Demodogs can become Demogorgons, I think they never fully established. I think because then Demodogs obviously became their own thing, but then whether or not they can grow and become even bigger and actually start walking on their hind legs and become Demogorgons has not yet been established. But then, because I think maybe safe to say they both kind of start off in the same way, like they both start off as babies too. Pretty sure there's that scene in the trailer of him fighting the Demogorgon 2 in like that kind of arena with the other guys. So then that scene probably starts to happen. So then he has to find out that there's actually a Demogorgon in Russia. So then that's going to raise questions for him, and he has to maybe try and investigate that kind of thing. So the fact that they have a Demogorgon in Russia did set up more to be explored there too. Of like they actually have this in Russia. So then that kind of explains, that kind of raises more question like how they have this and how far they've come in opening portals and actually exploring what's on the other side too. So, and the fact that they actually kept it around too, they kept it kind of under lock and key under a cage, and they kind of routinely feed people to it, and sometimes even have people fighting it to death and everything. So yes, I think maybe that's gonna have him kind of question things and fighting even harder to survive and fighting even harder to stay alive so he can see Joyce again. So then I guess only time will tell exactly how far they might be going with the Russian stuff, because I think easily the Vecna and all that kind of stuff back in Hawkins is still kind of proving to be the even bigger plot point and the main plot point of actually of this new season, like that kind of thing being the main big thing. I think Dustin even actually raised like that kind of interesting theory of like like maybe like could the Vecna be its own entity, or could it be serving the bidding of the Mind Flayer? And I think me personally, I want the Vecna to be its own thing. I really want the Vecna to be its own thing, because I think the Mind Flayer we've had for like a bunch of seasons. Like I think even back in season 1, because I think technically it can tie back into season 1, because it was still the big thing, the thingy. Besides from the Demogorgon, I think besides from the Demogorgon, it was still the big thing that Will faced back in season 1 that gave him the PTSD in season 2, and then even became even bigger in season 3 as well. I think especially if they're going with D&D too, I think I'm trusting D&D also has its own separate kind of powerful entities that can serve their own purposes and actually kind of be as individually powerful as each other too. Maybe they draw upon that and actually kind of make like the Vecna like its own powerful kind of dark wizard kind of character, and like its own kind of powerful dark magic kind of entity, and like its own thing with its own agenda and its own level of control. Because then even then, like the Vecna can talk. The Vecna is the only thing we've actually heard talking. The Vecna is the only thing we've actually heard interacting with people that way. Like everything else has just kind of had growls and other kind of more silent kind of communications and agendas and everything. But with this one, the Vecna actively talks and tells. It told Chrissy, I want it's time for your suffering to end. So like it was actually actively ending her abuse and trauma by consuming her and ending her life and everything. And then with Freddy, with Fred, it said I want you to join me. So then it did that kind of thing. So I think with the Vecna, I think I'm actually kind of like more on the side of actually wanting it to be its own powerful thing, separate from the from the mind flayer and everything actually serving its own purpose and stuff. So it will be interesting seeing exactly like how far they go with that, and actually seeing if this can be disconnected from the mind flayer, or if it's going to be some other kind of entity that kind of serves it, maybe alongside it too. Maybe if this is actually like the more humanoid, kind of more regular, kind of life-size version of the mind flayer, because the mind flayer is like a big, like even in cloud form, it's like a huge big motherfucker, and then even the actual the flesh body melted kind of mind flayer was still huge as well. So yeah, so the mind flayer like definitely had its own strengths and its own qualities too, but then now with the Vecna, I think definitely feels like it's time to actually introduce something new and something powerful and something scary and something a bit more personal as well, and everything. So yeah, we can see, and it's good to see Hopper kind of learning Russian too, like him actually kind of like picking up some Russian, and even the guard, even Antonov actually kind of complimenting him on his Russian too, being like, you're learning Russian, it's actually getting good, so keep that up and everything. But then he's actually talking to the other prisoners and stuff. So I mean, I actually don't know what I actually don't know what would have been filmed first, this or Black Widow, because then I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like even like actual kind of like story wise and chronologically speaking with the movies and the TV shows, I think maybe the joke still works that this isn't his first time in a Russian prison. But I think even filming wise, I'm not sure entirely exactly which thing would have been filmed first. I feel like it could have, because I think with Black Widow that was a movie, but then with this is like an actual kind of like somewhat more of like a feature length, kind of like a series and everything. So I don't know, because I think both things were held off. I think both things. I think production wise only this was held off. I feel like production wise only this was held off. I think actual, because I'm pretty sure like they still managed to actually kind of they still managed to finish filming and editing and locking Black Widow before its release, but then the actual like release date of it was delayed because of COVID. But then pretty sure like production kind of went through for the most part smoothly and everything. So but yeah, either way, I think it's kind of, I think obviously it's going to be very different too, because then again, like his character in Black Widow is native to Russia and he's actively Russian and being in that prison and everything. But with this one, Hopper is an American adapting to Russian prison climates and prison kind of culture and everything. So he's actively doing the jobs and like interacting with other prisoners, and I think he gave that one prisoner his food to I think to actually kind of like smash the thing to, I think I couldn't tell exactly what he was doing. I think maybe like, 'cause I think he was still gripping his leg, and then I think it was actually kind of going against his boob. I think maybe smashing the chain to create that little ridge, because I think when he took his bandage off, it showed that little ridge in his actual foot and everything. So maybe actually kind of smashing the shackles and the ring around his foot into his foot to create that ridge, so then maybe he could actually squeeze it off and put it off like a bit easier too, because then if there's that gap in the flesh, then maybe it can come off easier, but it looked painful on both ends, like with the smashing and the pulling. So yeah, but he's doing push-ups in his prison cell too, so I think he's actively gearing up to be able to kind of handle himself and be able to do some stuff. So he's kind of, I think knowing what's in store to him, like knowing what the plan is too, I think he's actively getting ready to be able to, I think he's preparing for anything that could go wrong. I think he's also like preparing for any kind of breakout that could happen, or any kind of other kind of situation that could happen. So, and Murray and Joyce too, I think they're kind of keeping stuff hidden from the kids too. I think they definitely weren't telling the kids about Hopper and that thing. And I mean Joyce did kind of express concern about lying and everything, and then I think Murray kind of covered that up with, oh well, if they don't know about this, then they're just going to stick to their normal teenage stuff like hormones and food and video games and drugs and all that kind of stuff. So then I think even him pointing out that his main concern is like, when you're like, the thing about your kids is when they know about this kind of stuff, they get involved. I think after season 3 and after dealing with Erica and the kids too, I think he's just kind of had enough of teenagers and youths getting involved in this kind of stuff and being all sassy, and he's probably still recovering from Erica's burns on him from way back in season 3. So I think he just kind of like, I think he even said like in season 3 he hates kids, so he doesn't want them getting involved and slowing this down, or even actually kind of sassing him out along the way. So he would prefer that him and Joyce as the adults actually get this kind of thing done too. So then he's like, what, worst case scenario, they don't get involved in this, but then they still get involved in usual teenage stuff, so then you just have to worry about that when you get home and everything. So there's that. But then I think initially I felt like maybe Joyce also didn't want to give them false hope, because then she like, because then they still don't know if or when this kind of thing could go south, because it's an incredibly risky move and they don't know exactly who they're dealing with, and they don't know exactly like what kind of like people they're dealing with, or like how trustworthy Enzo or Yuri is, and I think even Enzo being like, Yuri is a criminal, he's a smuggler, so he could easily kind of, try something and things might not, immediately go to plan or anything, so there's no immediate telling, but yeah, I think maybe, I thought initially Joyce was thinking like, first we bring Hop here, so that way we know he's with us, and that way we actually have something to show the kids back home, and that way it eliminates any false hope or the kind of chance of actually not getting him back, even though we're going to get him back and everything. So maybe they're waiting for that. So, and before I forget too, I think there's the stuff with Lucas. I think I've almost forgot the stuff with Lucas. I think Lucas is having very, very visible troubles actually fitting into this group the more they go, because I think he joined. I think you can't fully blame Lucas here. That he joined to play basketball, and I think he saw that like it was his chance to finally not be bullied, to join in with the cool kids and be with them, and to actually kind of gain some kind of like more positive status and everything, and to not have to endure more of the years of stuff he did at his old school and everything. So I think because of that he was happier, but then I think after all this stuff started happening and he sees the end, and now he started witnessing the group's kind of darker side like indulged and cultivated by Jason himself. I think especially like by the ending too, like the ending of him, like I think even in I think the fact that they even had that scene in slow motion too, of him actually running away, like him jumping off of the porch and onto the ground and then landing and running away in slow motion too. I think that kind of gave me that one gave me shivers, because then that kind of made me feel like they might show like them hearing him running away and chasing after him or doing something else, but I don't know. But either way, I think by the end of it, he definitely kind of came to his senses and decided to ditch the whole thing and not get involved with any other further kind of lethal stuff that can go down with Eddie. But I think the entire episode kind of shows him actually constantly kind of questioning this, but then also not wanting to go against this and not wanting to seem like he's out of place or not wanting to actually disappoint the team. Again, in case that means that they actually do kind of secretly kick him out by the time they come back and by the time everything's done. So he obviously doesn't stand with this. He obviously doesn't stand with Eddie being hurt like this, and even like him finding the other members of the Hellfire Club too, and them insisting that he's with them, but then him still carting that kind of stigma onto his sister, being like, oh, his sister's a huge nerd, and like and she's the one who plays with them and everything, and him even calling the club like a club and a cult and everything. So I think to begin with, he definitely kind of wanted to be in this because of the actual kind of the higher and more kind of positive social status. But I think now he's actually figuring out like just how dark this kind of group can get and just how aggressive they can get and how like not right they are in this kind of under this particular kind of pressure and stress and everything. So then Jason clearly isn't really kind of very kind of positive or right in the head. So then he's very much taking this kind of grief and the situation to heart and everything. So then that's kind of giving him like a really kind of like a strange outlet and like a really kind of negative outlet a negative outlet to kind of deal with this kind of stuff and everything. So yeah, it's just a whole roller coaster ride. So I'm glad he came to his senses at the end and actually kind of left them at the end too. So that's a plus. But yeah, that is pretty much all I got. I've been talking for a while. That was, I think quite a bit happened. So I feel like I definitely kind of covered pretty much everything that happened in the episode. But it was a big one. So, yeah, that was fun. But can't wait to see how this progresses and exactly how Max and the team deals with Vecna now that they know Max is next to someone they know. And so like the threat is finally hitting the team. So gonna be interesting to see how they deal with this and how Hopper gets back and how Joyce gets Hopper back and how soon they can actually get that back and everything. And then of course Jane going through the program again and actually getting her powers back and all that kind of stuff, seeing how the story just kind of continues and everything. So yeah, it should be fun. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this reaction and review. So that was Stranger Things season 4. I don't know why I keep saying season 3. Season 4, episode number 3. So thank you guys, as always, so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment on what you thought of the episode and what your thoughts are for the upcoming kind of episodes of the season 2. For those interested, the full-length reaction will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So until next time, bye bye for now.